How long does a foreclosure process take in the state of Michigan? In this video, we're going to show you exactly what that's all about. Now, let me tell you something. How long, what you need to know, all the ins and outs of Michigan are going to be wrapped up inside here. There's a lot of great content in here. Stick around to the very end. I got some really cool stuff for you. If you got any questions, feel free to go. Now listen, this isn't meant as a legal how-to by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, I would even say it's the opposite. It's more of a gotta know what you're doing. You gotta get that 30,000 foot view of it so you kind of know what you're getting into, so you know that you need to hire somebody first of all. Don't ever try to do this foreclosure process by yourself, but you need to understand what is the process. Now understand, there are two different things that you're doing here. If you own a piece of property in the state of Michigan, and you want to go ahead and sell that to somebody and you carry the note on it, that's what we're talking about in one aspect. If I buy a tax deed in the state of Michigan, it's a fairly quick process to get the property. All of my notes are going to be inside the description down below. Some of the facts that you're looking at here, foreclosure notice can happen within 4 to 6 weeks of them not paying. So it's fairly aggressive in Michigan. The homeowner has to be behind at least 90 days before that process can take place. Then it's 4 to 6 weeks and those notifications go out. It has to be published in notification at least 5 days before the sale. And once the sale is taken place, the property owner can be sold at what's called a sheriff's sale. The foreclosure sale generally occurs 30 to 60 days afterwards with that. What you want to know is if you're doing a foreclosure because you're considering lending money to somebody, know what your legal rights are. If you're getting foreclosed on it, know what your legal rights are. Like I've had somebody that tried to foreclose on me one time that I didn't even owe money. It was Wells Fargo. We didn't even owe money on the property. They were trying to foreclose on me. It was kind of funny. But anyways, that was during the financial debacle. But you know, there is a legal remedy so that when somebody starts the foreclosure process, they have to prove that you actually owe the money. But when you're foreclosing on it, there's literally set time frames that you're doing on this. Now, let me just rest your mind assured. If you're buying a tax deed in the state of Michigan, you're not having to foreclose and go through 90 days of them not paying and all that good stuff. That's already taken place. Okay, so when I step in to buy that, really, in all reality, that's the final process that takes place in Michigan. Now, the Michigan sales are great, but it's not the only place to make things happen out there. If you want person in the property, stay in the property. If you start to go through foreclosure and then they say, listen, I'm trying to make something happen, that's fine. I'm okay with that. What is it? When is it? How is it? All of those things, and then get another when can this happen? And if this doesn't happen by this time, these are the next proceedings that are going to go forward on. Just because you start a foreclosure process doesn't mean that you have to end it with foreclosure. You can start the eviction notice once the foreclosure has been finalized, and it's super important to make that happen because when I get a property in Michigan at a tax deed sale, I want to put an eviction notice on it immediately. The exact amount of time depends on the court and what have you, but usually anywhere between 6, 7 on the lowest up to 30 days on the highest amount of time. But I don't know who's in the property. I just got the property. What I want to do is, give them some notice, but also it doesn't mean you have to evict. It just means that you will be if somebody doesn't contact me. I'm the renter of the property. I've been paying rent. Okay, now pay it to me. Let's find out what's going on with the property. Typically, if there's a renter in the property, I'm going to offer them to buy the property. Offer to sell them the property, maybe using their monthly rent payment as a down payment or something to that effect. Now, here's the thing. When you're ever doing any of this stuff, you need to look at this. If I'm buying a property at a tax deed sale, make sure you've done all your research on the property. And part of it would be contacting a real estate foreclosure attorney law office. Somebody that specializes in that. What is the process here? There's 2 phases. What would I have to do to foreclose on a property? Number 1, what would I have to do to clear a property once I've got it maybe at a tax deed sale or what have you? 2 different things. So when I get a property at a tax deed sale, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to uncloud the title and get rid of all that stuff. So they're going to have to notify everybody that had a financial interest in this property, letting them know it went to sale, and then proving to the court that you've done all this stuff. So it's really important for you to know the whole process when you're doing this. If I'm buying a tax deed certificate, I not only want to know how I cleared the title, but how long that's going to take. What are my rights of evicting somebody? What can I do with this? But I'm going to be I want to caution you on all this. If you're new at doing this, there's a tendency to sit there and go, oh, I want to, help the property owner. And that's all fine. Maybe they deserve some help. Maybe the person in the property deserves some help. What I want to do is I want to make sure all of this is written down. So if they say, hey, I'm in the property, I've been paying rent. Okay, great. Let's put you on a month-to-month right now where I decide what I'm going to do. For right now, maybe I'll reduce your rent to whatever it is. But in the meantime, I'm going to send an inspector by the property. I want to get an inspection report on the property. That way, if I want to go wholesale the property, I know what the damages are. Or if I want to keep the property and rent it out, I know everything that I need to do on that property to make it a spectacular rental property. Very important. I do not want a rental property where there's a lot of problems with it. I mean, it's not like I don't want to be a slumlord. Of course, I don't want to do that. But I don't want those calls in the middle of the night of the hot water heater. I literally want this property to be as clean as possible. That way, when I go ahead and go into that property and I'm keeping it rented out, the only thing I get from that property is income. Here's another little tidbit, if you will. When renting properties, I always make sure that I include high-speed internet. Okay, let me tell you why. Okay, internet is not considered a necessity. If they fail to pay the rent, you can always turn off the internet. Watch how fast that phone rings when their internet goes down. If any of you have kids out there and you take their phone away, you see how freaked out they get when they don't have a phone, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's one way to leverage that. Also, make sure you get a property management company that's going to be involved in this. I want a property management company to have to be my buffer in between that. Again, if you only have one property, there might be more money involved. The more properties you have, the more discounts you're going to get within that. So you're going to make sure you know the values of the property. Make sure you know how much the rehab. Make sure you know what the local foreclosure process is in that area. Okay, I want to know who it is. I want to know how much it's going to cost. I want to know how long it's going to take. And most importantly, how long will it take to clear title on that property? Okay, everything you need to know to get that property at and make it a good deal is very, very important, okay? So these are some of the things that you need to know about foreclosing on a property, both whether you own the property and you're becoming the bank, or you're buying a tax deed and you need to clear up the property. Those things are very, very important. What's the most important thing is I've got a brand new course on all of this. My gift to you. All you have to do is go to the link down below. It's very clear, higginsmethod.com. It's in the descriptions inside there. Click on that link, fill out the information, and we'll get you what you need to be successful at this. God bless and good luck. We'll see you out there.